Right now on News 3, a series of strong storms roll through southern Wisconsin. We'll check out some of the damage.
And we are just hours away from Hurricane Michael making landfall. An update with the very latest developments.
And later, the city of Beloit is being recognized by the United States military. What they're doing, straight ahead.
This is News 3 at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Some strong storms rolled through parts of southern Wisconsin this afternoon, prompting several tornado watches and some warnings.
Although it appears any potentially severe weather has passed for now, we are still not out of the woods just yet. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti has our first alert forecast from the Weather Center. Gary?
Yeah, things have settled down a bit for tonight. We're still expecting the possibility for some showers and thunderstorms. And of course, any additional rainfall is going to lead to some problems. And there may be some strong thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. So we have alert days in the forecast overnight for scattered thunderstorms. Some of those could still produce gusty winds and some small hail, but also the potential for some locally heavy rainfall. Tomorrow, more thunderstorms could lead to the possibility for some locally heavy rainfall in spots, as well as perhaps some stronger winds. But once a cold front comes through, a big change in the overall weather pattern will take place. Right now, there's looks like some thunderstorms right around the Platteville area heading to the north. Some stronger storms up around Camp Douglas and into central Wisconsin. But these storms are a lot weaker than they were earlier this evening. And as you look at Doppler track right now, everything is lifting off toward the north and northeast. The storms coming out of Iowa have actually lost a lot of their lightning, so it is they are definitely weaker. But there still is a slight risk of severe thunderstorms overnight for Madison and areas to the west, and a marginal risk to the east of Madison, and a marginal risk for much of southern and southeastern Wisconsin for tomorrow. In addition, flood watch is in effect for areas west of Dane County through 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Low temperatures this morning were about as warm as our average high temperatures are this time of year. That's what led to the unusually warm afternoon with high temperatures in the lower 80s and high humidity. Temperatures right now are still in the upper 60s and lower 70s with dew point temperatures in the middle 60s, and that's what's been fueling these showers and thunderstorms. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will still start out mild in the upper 60s. However, we'll see some more showers and storms tomorrow, the high at 72, and those temperatures start dropping later in the afternoon. Later on, I'll take a look at a much cooler forecast in your first alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. The National Weather Service has not yet confirmed any tornadoes, but there were reports of damage.
Our Amy Reed was following these storms tonight, and she's in the news center with a closer look at some of that damage. Amy?
Yeah, one of the more heartbreaking stories out of this might be that of a farmer, Lloyd Moen. This is his barn after the storm hit. He was home when this happened, but he didn't come out until what he describes as a wall of rain went away. It left behind an inch of water and a destroyed barn. The storm tore down the walls and the roof, and that collapsed on top of his $300,000 combine. Moen has owned his farm in the village of Cobb for 47 years, and he said losing the barn was like losing an old friend.
I started here right out of high school. 47 years has been here this year. I start dairying here in that barn, and the cows are gone. The barn was here, and now it's not.
One of Moen's workers pulled in while the storm was happening. He just parked in a shed and waited out, and this is what he saw when he came out. Now, the two of them have already spoken with their insurance agent, and the agent is convinced this is the result of a tornado because of how the barn is snapped and twisted, but we will have to wait for the National Weather Service to make that call. People in Portage also saw some effects of the storm, but right now that damage is minimal. This is a house off of Curry Road that had multiple trees ripped apart by the winds, and the man that lives here, Forrest Gordon, wasn't even home when it happened.
I think the storm came and lasted about 25 minutes, and then it just disappeared. And then I got off work and came home, and half my yard's torn up.
Gordon said he hopes to have this cleaned up by the weekend, but there was a lot of big debris to haul out. Luckily, it looks like the house got away without any damage. Now, there were a few other reports of trees down in Portage, another on that street, Curry Road, and a few more on Carroll Road, and we'll continue to monitor the storm damage as it's reported. Charlotte?
Amy, thank you. Water along the Rock River continues to rise and could soon reach near major flood conditions. According to the National Weather Service, water at the Rock River and Lake Koshkonong will reach 11.4 feet this weekend. 11.5 feet is considered major flooding stages. When it comes to the Wisconsin and Baraboo rivers, Columbia County Emergency Management says they will reach moderate flood levels by the end of the week. The Wisconsin River is expected to rise from 14 feet to 18.9 feet by Saturday, just shy of the 19-foot major flood threshold. The Baraboo River is set to rise from 16 feet to 19.5 feet by Friday.
And just a reminder, if your plans depend on the weather, check out our Channel 3000 weather and traffic app. It includes our 12-hour and 10-day forecast, all for free. You can find it in the app store of your choice. In other big weather news, Florida's northern Gulf Coast is bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Michael.
The storm, now a Category 3, is expected to strike the region tomorrow afternoon. Mandatory evacuation orders are in place in communities along the Florida Panhandle. Just yesterday, Michael was a tropical storm. Today, it grew into a 500-mile wide hurricane with wind speeds topping 120 miles an hour. When it makes landfall, it is expected to be accompanied by an 8 to 12-foot storm surge.
Do not underestimate the power of this storm. I mean, think about it. 102-mile-an-hour winds, 12 inches of rain, 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. I mean, this will be devastating.
The projected path of Hurricane Michael has it passing over Georgia and into the Carolinas. As much as a half foot of rain is expected in parts of those states.
We will get a better look at poll numbers for the upcoming election tomorrow. The Marquette Law School will release its latest polling along with updates on the races for governor, attorney general, and U.S. Senate. We will learn more about voters' views on the recent Supreme Court nomination fight, the Foxconn development, and the state's efforts to fight the opioid epidemic. We're looking more closely tonight at how the candidates for governor in Wisconsin would help create jobs.
Rose Schmidt tells you what you need to know about their economic plans.
In a keynote address to the state's business group, Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, Governor Scott Walker focused on what he says is a key part of his platform.
My belief is if you're an able-bodied, working-age adult in this state, my expectation is you work at least 30 hours a week.
Meanwhile, his Democratic challenger, Tony Evers, says the governor's jobs plans focus too much on big companies and not people.
The small business owners of the state, the entrepreneurs, they're the ones that need the help. They're the ones that are the job creators.
Evers' economic development plan focuses on getting rid of the state's job creation agency, a public-private partnership called the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. Walker has said that agency was key in bringing companies to the state and says the state's low unemployment rate proves the efforts are working. Walker also teased that he plans to roll out a new program to help people in the correction system get jobs when they get out.
Because I'd love to have every person, or nearly every person, about to come out of prison be connected with a skill set that will hopefully ensure that they don't come back to the system again.
An idea Evers says ignores the reality of the state's incarceration rate.
He talks about getting people that are in the correctional institutions the jobs they need. Well, there's a lot of them that probably shouldn't be in the correctional institutions to begin with.
Rose Schmidt, WISC News 3.
The U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, is stepping down from her post. The surprise resignation was announced today in the White House while sitting side by side with President Trump. Haley will leave her job at the end of the year. So far, she has not given any reason for the resignation. Vice President Mike Pence will be in Wisconsin tomorrow for a pair of GOP fundraisers. He'll be flying into Green Bay's Austin Straubel Airport at noon. He will speak at an event at the Oneida Golf and Country Club. From there, he will head to Eau Claire. Both events are fundraisers for the Wisconsin Republican Party and Governor Walker.
The newest addition to the Supreme Court started his new job today. Accusations against Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct dating back decades caused protesters to descend on Capitol Hill for the past 2 weeks. More demonstrators lined up outside the High Court to greet Justice Kavanaugh on his first day on his new job. The first arguments that Kavanaugh will hear are technical cases involving what constitutes an armed career criminal. Officials are still at the scene of an explosion at a Monroe ethanol plant.
Badger State Ethanol say they shut down the plant this afternoon out of precaution. The explosion happened just before 6 a.m., but we are told it was an isolated incident inside a corn silo. Crews describe it as a slow burning fire. 8 people were there at the time, but none were injured. The cause is still under investigation, and they don't believe there was any criminal intent behind it. Across the street from the plant, one person may be seriously injured after a large building partially collapses. We are told these 2 incidents are not related. Parts of the unfinished roof and wall came down around 2:50 this afternoon. Officials with OSHA and Monroe Police are investigating. They say the building is going to be used as a warehouse for packaging operations and was about halfway done.
Janesville fire officials are asking for the public's help with a fire investigation. The fire department looking for information about a fire that broke out last Wednesday at an apartment complex on Morningside Drive. Dozens were evacuated from the building, but there were no reports of any injuries. Officials said the fire started as an outside fire involving a propane grill on a deck. Still ahead tonight at 10, a major stepping stone for patients with uncontrollable epilepsy.
And how the United States Navy is honoring the city of Beloit. You're watching News 3 at 10. Welcome back. The city of Beloit will soon go worldwide after a major announcement this afternoon.
The city is being forever immortalized, honored today by the United States Navy. Our Adam Duxter reports.
Fairbanks Morse has been building engine parts since the 1880s. But today, employees are saying this is the most exciting time in company history.
It's an incredible honor. It is probably the pinnacle of my 40-year career.
Today, the company announced it would be building the engine for the USS Beloit, a ship donning the name of the town the business has worked to serve for over 100 years.
It is very exciting, not only for every Fairbanks Morse employee. I think it's something that every person in Beloit can be proud of.
The USS Beloit will be a littoral combat ship and will spend time all over the world. The idea started when Rhett Merriman, the manager of marine engine sales, was at another ship's christening.
As I'm sitting at one of these christening events, watching a ship being christened with the name of another city, I'm asking myself, why not Beloit?
Merriman says he takes pride in knowing a ship with the name of the town he loves will soon be sailing the globe.
This gives now, in my opinion, Beloit now an international presence around the world. This ship will be in service for 40, 50 years or more.
That's Adam Duxter reporting. The USS Beloit will be built in Marinette. That'll be the 29th ship of its type.
After months of legal hurdles, patients who need a seizure medication containing CBD are now allowed to get it here in Wisconsin. The drug called Epidiolex is the first medication containing CBD to be approved by the FDA, and now the first in Wisconsin. This drug is used to treat two rare forms of epilepsy. Epidiolex was approved by the FDA in June, but it took almost 3 months for the DEA to make the necessary changes to allow the drug to be used.
Consumers, patients, children now have access to a medication that has been proven to be effective, but the action we've taken today allows that hopefully to have no delay, that once it's available, people will be able to utilize it.
Since cannabis is still a Schedule I drug, the FDA had to reschedule Epidiolex to be Schedule 5, which implies accepted medical uses and low potential for abuse.
Well, Gary and Dana, we're on the air quite a bit today. Storms popping up all over the place, and maybe some more storms in the days ahead, at least a couple alert days ahead, right?
About the next 24 hours. That's what we have to get through. Once we get through that, then the severe weather threat goes away, but we have a big change in the overall weather pattern after that. Let's start out by taking a look at the alert days that remain in place for the overnight hours. Gusty winds, hail, perhaps some brief heavy rainfall and some of the stronger thunderstorms. Not looking for any severe weather overnight, or if there is any, it'd be very isolated. Tomorrow we'll see more thunderstorms, and again, the potential is there for maybe an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm, but also some of those storms could produce heavy downpours, and some areas just can't take any more rain at all. Now, as we look at high-resolution Doppler radar, it looks like one stronger thunderstorm located over the northern portion of Richland County. That'll track up toward Camp Douglas. Some showers and storms up in the northern portions of Marquette County, up toward Westfield. But as far as the severe weather reports, we got pretty lucky. You saw the report of the barn down by Cobb. We had some hail reports up to about 1.5 inches in diameter around Portage, and then also some strong winds up to 60 miles per hour in Fox Lake. But just to our south and west, a number of tornado reports from Waterloo down through Cedar Rapids and west of there toward Toledo. As we take a look at one of the more significant tornado reports near Janesville, Iowa, north of Waterloo, so causing some damage there. But that was all this evening. But those storms weakened as they pushed into southern Wisconsin. Once again, we're just left with those showers and storms to the north of Madison. Now, as we take a look at Doppler track in motion, you can see everything lifting to the north. Not even a lot of lightning in there. So that indicates that these storms are weakening. Still a severe weather threat overnight, according to the Storm Prediction Center. Tomorrow, a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms ahead of a cold front. And then the rainfall, about another inch of rain expected from the computer models before the cold front comes through late tomorrow afternoon. So flood watches remain in effect for much of the western part of our viewing area. These are all river flood warnings that continue because of the high water levels. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. The rain has ended here in town. The almanac for today shows our high at 81, the low of 63, a degree above the average high temperature for this time of year at 62, and we're still at 71 with a dew point temperature of 66, so it's very humid out there. Meantime, Hurricane Michael taking aim on the Florida coast. Hurricane warnings in effect for the Florida Panhandle. Tropical storm watches down toward the Tampa area. Tropical storm warnings almost to New Orleans and then up into the Carolinas. Here's Michael over the last 12 hours, going from a Category 2 hurricane to a Category 3 hurricane. Latest information from the National Hurricane Center, top sustained winds 125 miles per hour with gusts to almost 150 miles an hour, moving to the north at 12 miles per hour. Latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center strengthens it into a Category 4 hurricane as it makes landfall sometime around 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in the Florida Panhandle, and then takes it through Georgia, the Carolinas, and then races it out through the Atlantic Ocean. By the time it almost makes it all the way to Europe as we head into Sunday, and top winds still at 50 miles per hour. So again, flood watch west of Dane County through 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, very mild showers, perhaps a few thunderstorms, low temperature at a very mild 68. Tomorrow's high 72, so not as mild as today. Showers and some thunderstorms through the afternoon hours. Future track, you can see a scattering of showers and thunderstorms overnight into tomorrow, but as that cold front comes through, the high hits 72 around 4 o'clock. The wind shift to the west, the air starts to dry out. By early on Thursday morning, we're down to around 40, and highs on Thursday only rise into the upper 40s. Those rainfall amounts of ½ inch to an inch over much of southern Wisconsin, some locally heavier amounts. The 7 to 10 day forecast, much cooler weather on the way for the weekend. At least it'll be drier for the most part. Just a chance of showers on Sunday and then again about Tuesday, but those temperatures below normal for much of the first part of next week, maybe a little bit of warm up toward the end of the week.
This is one wild ride.
It certainly is.
Thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Another year, another state girls golf championship for the Edgewood Crusaders. This story coming up in sports.
The Edgewood Crusaders won another WIA Division II State Girls Golf Team Championship today, and they did it with 3 juniors and 2 sophomores, but you'd never know they were such a young team because they played so well. Grace Welch led the way, tying for 3rd with teammate Grace Jager. Caitlin Hagenbarth was 5th, Annika Lesky was 15th, and Alaka Lesky, who scored it didn't actually count, was still 25th. That's a great young group.
There's no way to really fully prepare for it, but just practicing our games enough to the point where we can be confident going into it and not worrying about what we're going to do wrong. I think that's key for us.
Because I have a different team every time, so we're just lucky to be here in the first place, and so nothing like this would ever get old. It's such an amazing environment. It's so much fun for the girls. It's a lot of work, and each time it's a different team.
Again, Edgewood wins the title. Did we mention they won it by 60 shots? The individual champion in Division II is Claire Fakamad from Xavier. She shoots 8 over par. Division I, Middleton fell just short of the title, 8 shots behind Kettle Moraine, but the Cardinals did get past Arrowhead and Brookfield Central for the silver trophy, so Middleton was pretty pleased with its effort.
It feels amazing. I mean, my freshman year we took second place. Last year we didn't do so well, but this year we did amazing, especially with how young our team was. So I was very proud of them and how we ended up.
And Kettle Moraine won that Division I team title by 8 over Middleton. Waunakee was 6th, Milton 8. Bayport's Joe Baranchik, the individual state champion, at 1 under par. Stoughton's Kaylee Kudlowski is 4th. Middleton's Catherine Meyer is 5th. Former Sun Prairie basketball star Jalen Johnson announces today he's trimmed his list of college choices to 15. Still in the running, Wisconsin, Marquette, Minnesota, Duke, Kentucky, and Kansas. Johnson transferred to Nicolet High School for this school year. He's considered to be the number 6 recruit in the country. Badger football team plays at Michigan Saturday night at 6:30 in a battle of top 15 teams. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh says Badger quarterback Alex Hornibrook is a concern for the Wolverines' defense.
Yeah, he's a very experienced guy and played in a lot of big games and really good quarterback. Really good quarterbacks pose really big problems.
The Prep Mania High School football game of the week is for the conference championship in the Capital North. Lakeside Lutheran is undefeated. Defending state Division IV champion Lodi can get a share of the title with a win. The game's been moved to Waunakee, so that's where we'll be live on TVW and Channel3000.com Friday night at 7. NBA preseason tonight. The Bucks are at Oklahoma City with Giannis, Middleton, Maker, Bledsoe, Ilyasova, Lopez, all not playing. But the Bucks hang in there. They need a 3 to tie it to send it to overtime at the end of regulation. Former Penn State star Tim Frazier does it. So it goes to overtime where Milwaukee native DeAndre Burton goes bonkers. He hits 3 threes. The Thunder beat the Bucks in overtime 119-115. First loss of the preseason for the Bucks. They'll host Minnesota Friday at Fiserv Forum, and we'll be right back.
Gary, so the final check of your forecast.
Things are slowing down a little bit, but there still are some showers and a couple of isolated thunderstorms out there. Not a lot of lightning from those storms, but flood watch remains in effect west of Dane County through 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Rainfall amounts probably somewhere around an additional inch or so before it comes to an end late tomorrow afternoon. And then cooler air moves in. Just a couple of rain chances after that, Sunday and Tuesday, but look at those temperatures. Much more fall-like and maybe some freezing temperatures by Friday morning.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Do something good. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.